Okay, I'm going to start this video off by saying a lot of people are not going to like what I'm going to say in this particular video. And that's fine. Okay, you can agree or disagree, like or dislike, que sera, sera. All right? But J.J. Watt has been released by the Texans. Now, he released a video on social media explaining the decision and also, relaying to us that he informed the owner of the Texans, the McNairs, and basically request to be released from the Houston Texans. Now, this comes on the heels of their franchise quarterback wanting to be traded and wanting to go to the New York Jets or wherever. I think the New York Jets is probably going to be the logical destination for him. And it also comes at the heels of the McNair family is receiving enormous criticism on how they handle the franchise, on selecting personnel in the front office, even down to I think the coach. I think they got it sort of right with the coach, and not allowing their franchise quarterback in the discussions as far as the process as of hiring a coach. And that was like to him a slap in the face. And now he wants to be traded from the Texans, which, by the way, he signed an extension with the Texans. And J.J. Watt has been on record by saying they need to do right by him. He's the franchise guy. He should have some input in the decision process when it comes to coaching, general manager, whatever. I'm a firm believer of everyone should stay in their lane. Okay? I feel like the coaches should simply coach, the players should simply play, and the owners should simply own. When you start, allowing someone to gravitate in areas that they're not accustomed of doing, you're just asking for trouble. Okay? Now, I know everyone wants to, I know this is a copycat league. Sports is a copycat league. And I know a lot of people are seeing what Tom Brady did with Tampa. And, Tom went to Tampa and did it his way, won a Super Bowl. And they also see LeBron James went to the Los Angeles Lakers. It took him a year, but he finally got his ring once they got Anthony Davis. And a lot of people want to copy and paste those ideas and say, oh, well, wait a minute. If it works for Tom Brady, if it works for LeBron James, it should work for me. I should get that same type of leverage. All right? But let's get back to the Houston Texans. When J.J. Watt signed that contract for the Houston Texans, J.J. Watt should have known right then and there that this franchise is in trouble. All right? You don't you don't give a defensive player that's really not going to give any impact on the field when it comes to wins. All right? Particularly in the era that we're living in. This is an offensive-based era where quarterbacks, if you don't have a top-tier quarterback, you're not going to be in the playoffs. You're not going to be very successful. You're not going to win any Super Bowls. It doesn't matter what else. It doesn't really matter what else you have on the roster. This is the era that we're living in now. The rules favor the quarterback. The game favors the quarterback. The system overall favors the quarterback. And for the Houston Texans to franchise J.J. Watt, and this is like a couple of moons ago. This is a couple of seasons ago. J.J. Watt should have knew right then and there that, maybe this franchise is not putting their best foot forward. Okay, shouldn't you get the quarterback before you start thinking about signing everything else around the quarterback that really doesn't have any type of input when it comes to winning games, going deep into the playoffs, and yes, winning the Super Bowl. Okay, of course, defense wins championships. I know all the cliches. All right, but to get your place in the face, to get your face in the place. Excuse me. You have to have some type of quarterback. Now, there have been exceptions of the rule. I know people are going to point out the Baltimore Ravens. They didn't have a franchise quarterback, and they won the Super Bowl. I know people are going to point out Peyton Manning on his last couple of years with Denver. Peyton Manning wasn't that real good, and they had a phenomenal defense, and yes, they won a championship. But here's what people don't look. With the Baltimore situation, they basically told their quarterback, just don't F up the game. All right? Just throw some basic throws, keep the game close, and the defense is going to make a stop, and we're going to win this ball game more times than not. When it comes to Peyton Manning, you're talking about, even though his skill eroded, the mind hasn't. Okay, and Peyton Manning is one of those type of quarterbacks that if you have him on your roster, you're in the midst of possibly getting into the Super Bowl and going deep into the playoffs. Peyton Manning is not no everyday guy that you see in the back of an oil changing center. Okay, he's Peyton freaking Manning. Okay, enough said about that. So the Texans, in the past 7 to 8 years, really haven't done anything that can illustrate to anyone who is for the Texans to say, oh man, those decisions, those signings that they're making, that's pointing the franchise in the right direction. They haven't. Okay. Now I know a lot of people are going to talk about, well, they trade their best wide receiver to Arizona. Okay. And that's one of the reasons why, he wants to leave the Texans. Okay. And, you could possibly use that excuse, but the Texans have never demonstrated that they know or seriously know what it takes and what is a franchise quarterback. They had a lot of quarterbacks under that umbrella of a team, and it never got them to sniff close to a Super Bowl. All right. Now this guy is very special. All right. He's very talented. The skills are off the chart. Okay. But let's just pause for a second. What has he done in the course of 2 to 3 years that's going to tell you without a shadow of a doubt he's here to stay? He's in the top 5, definitely in the top 10, and he's a difference maker. All right. I'm going to allow y'all to sit there and ponder that, okay, because the record speaks for itself, okay? Let's get back to J.J. Watts. I feel like, look, the Texans, they had a lot of avenues to explore as far as, finding their quarterback in the AFC South. And in that division, when it was at its weakest, the Texans still couldn't make it to the playoffs. They had Deshaun Watson. And they still have him. But the list goes on and on and on of quarterbacks that they done had. And in the AFC South, that at one point in time, it was at its weakest, and they still couldn't make it deep into the playoffs. All right, with a healthy and also a somewhat healthy J.J. Watts. Now, I feel like J.J. Watt's best years are behind him. He's not the same guy that he was 5 years ago. He's a workout warrior. I have to tip my hat off to him. If you see some of the posts and videos that he do on Instagram, when he's in the gym or when he's working out, this guy works out. I feel like this guy works out 24 hours in a day. All right. And that still ain't enough time for him. But I feel like some of his injuries are from him working out too much. There is a such thing as working out too much. Those ligaments, they start getting weaker. They are susceptible for injuries. And if you look at the injuries that he done had with the Texans, they're all gym-related injuries. Okay, his abdominal was injured and made him miss a significant amount of games. All right, his hands, even though he likes to grip the ground, and even though, he grabs his opponents. That's fine and dandy and all, but a lot of his injuries come from the fact of him working out too much, and I don't think he's nowhere near the man he was 5 or 6 years ago. Now the rumors are out that he could probably reunite with his brother in Pittsburgh, maybe go to the Packers, and he was released Friday, and he's still unsigned. Now he's going to go to a team. He's not going to make a whole lot of money on that team, but he's already made his money. He made his money early with the Texans. Okay, so he's looking at it. He's looking at, okay, what's the one thing I don't have to validate myself? Okay, you got Defensive Player of the Year, you got Rookie of the Year, you got all of these individual awards, but the one thing he does not have, the one caveat, is a Super Bowl. All right. So I feel like his decision is going to be, he's going to go to a team that's going to take him to the Super Bowl. Now, to me, I feel like Tampa Bay can run it back and go to the Super Bowl once again. Kansas City, I can see him going there. Particularly if Kansas City has to, let go of some of their players on defense to save some money on the cap so they can shore up that offensive line, have some more depth in that offensive line. Because you can tell in that Super Bowl, that's one of the reasons why, they took an L with the Super Bowl, because their offensive line was injured. Okay. So, and also a running back. It wouldn't hurt them to get a running back. JJ, by them releasing players, and if one of those players is on defense, you can just plug in J.J. Watt. I feel like that's those are the obvious places I can see him go. I can also see him go to Green Bay. I can also see him, if he wants to stick it to the Texans and stay in Dallas. I don't know if he likes Dallas that much, Texas that much. I can also see him going to maybe the Cowboys. Even though the Cowboys, really, they need to spread their money in other things that they really desperately need. I can see him doing that. The Pittsburgh angle, I can possibly see him doing that as well. But if you're getting this guy, you're not getting the guy that was the best defender on the planet 5-6 years ago. Okay, he's going to be a system guy. He's not going to be in every down, but he's going to be in the important downs that matter the most. And he can sub them in, sub them out. I feel like if he takes that type of schedule, I can see him playing another 3 or 4 more years with the injuries. Okay, so JJ Watt is released. He's a free agent, and to me, my humble opinion of it is that's one of the main biggest reasons why the McNair family, the Texas organization, just simply can't get it right. Okay, because these mistakes that they make are huge mistakes. All right. And it takes a lot of getting things right to overcome these mistakes. In my humble personal opinion, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, there wasn't really a dynamic quarterback at that time when they signed him for all that money. Okay? But you got to find diamonds in the rough. Okay? You got to, you just can't just give up on hope and just sign, we got all this money, we got to sign some goddamn body. Okay, you have to have a plan. I don't think the Texans have a plan. I think they just, play it by ear. And I think they just, evaluate, every year like it's individual and say, look, like it's an individual project. Well, look, we can do this, we can do that. I mean, you have to walk. I feel like Texas organizations have a hard time walking and chewing gum at the same time. But let's not blame them too much. All right. I think another reason why they released him, because there's not really a huge market for J.J. Watt. If they could have traded him and gotten some pieces that really mattered to the Texans, then yeah, they would have traded him. But the market likes J.J. Watt. They don't love J.J. Watt. The market's looking at it as, look, we'll just pick him up when you guys release him. Okay? We're not going to give you any type of draft picks for J.J. Watt. All right? And that's one of the reasons why they simply just flat out released him. I know they're respecting, they want to respect his decision, and I'm pretty sure he went to McNair family. He asked to be released. 1,000 players asked owners and management, coaching staff to release them from their contracts, but not all of them get it. If you have some type of market value and they can flip you for some picks and some younger assets, they would have traded you. Okay? So this notion of, well, Matthew Stafford, the Lions got something from Matthew Stafford. How come the Texans couldn't get nothing for J.J. Watt? Because the market does not bear. The market really doesn't want they like J.J. Watt. They just don't love J.J. Watt. And we're living in an era where offense really does matter. If J.J. Watt was a quarterback, a very good quarterback, I can see teams, picking up him and trading for him and this, that, the third. But the market bears how valuable you are. And J.J. Watt clearly is not that valuable enough to get draft picks. Now, you're going to hear people next week, you're going to hear all these talking heads, these insiders. Oh, wow, if the Texans would have just hold on to him. I was just on the phone with a team, and it's going to be an unknown team. They're not going to say the team's name. And I talked to a personnel running that team, and they wanted J.J. Watts, and they was willing to trade a third and a fourth for J.J. Watts. No, fam. That's not going to happen. J.J. Watt's best years are behind him. He's not in his prime anymore. And this is the business of the NFL. When you're getting older, you're always susceptible for injury. You're no longer servable for anybody in the NFL. You don't have a market. Okay, that's why a player such as Antonio Brown can get a job, even though he have shown bad behavior, even though he's not the nicest guy. Okay, but the market bears for him for some type of value. Some team will pick up Antonio Brown if he chooses not to. He's got a 1-year contract with Tampa Bay, and there's no option for a second year. On the outside looking in, Antonio Brown is going to stay with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because he wants to pair up with Tom Brady. And Tom Brady is co-signing for this guy. But there is a market for Antonio Brown, despite all the bad press and the things he have said recently. He's a malcontent. Still, there's teams out there that would sign Antonio Brown. Okay, there are more teams that would love to sign Antonio Brown than there are teams that want to sign J.J. Watt. I feel like there's some teams out there for J.J. Watt, but it's not an abundance of teams. Okay, he just don't have the pick of the litter. I think the next team he's going to is going to be a Super Bowl. It's not going to be a financial decision. The market does not hold for J.J. Watt to make enormous money on his next contract. Okay, so that's all I got. I can also see J.J. Watt going to Cleveland. Okay? I can also see J.J. Watt going to Miami. Okay? J.J. Watt is going to look at it like this. I want to go to a contender. All right? But if the contender teams do not want me, then I'll go to that second tier of up-and-coming teams that could be contenders down the road. Let me gamble on this. Okay, let me roll the dice on this. I can see him going to, and those teams are, I just mentioned, Cleveland. I can also see Miami, possibly kicking the tires around for J.J. Watt. I can also see the Titans interested in J.J. Watt. He'll be back in his own division, all right? Which, if you look at all the divisions, I know everyone says the NFC East is the worst, and it is the worst. But I feel like the AFC South is not all that great either, okay? And I can see a possibility of him signing to a team in those two divisions, all right? If he can't get signed to a contending team, all right? So, that's all I got for today. That's all I have for today. I'll see you guys on the next video. Deuces.